G'day everybody, my name is Lowell and welcome to the channel. So I've seen this video which had a very interesting title. Why American suburbs are so creepy. So I thought, that would be interesting. So let's jump in and let's have a look at this one, shall we?
Have you ever walked down a suburban street or an empty parking lot and thought, this place feels creepy? It's the uniformity, lack of diversity, and the endless maze of sterile streets. It's no surprise that suburban horror is a popular genre seen in countless movies and shows. But what's even more prevalent are images of suburbs being used as liminal spaces. Liminal spaces are an in-between or transitional space between two places. Think of hallways, stairwells, or airports. These images have become very popular on the internet, depicting eerie abandoned places that evoke feelings of unease, nostalgia, and sadness. So is it not concerning that the places we live in are considered strange and creepy?
Why does everything in America look like this? There's no good urban planning anymore.
I think it's like the silence of the suburbs that kind of scared me. Like, it's quiet.
Us humans make sense of our environment through context. Playgrounds should have kids playing in it, malls should have people shopping, and parking lots should be full of cars. But when you take these environments away from their context, it creates a strange and uncanny feeling that something is missing. Picture a playground at night, an abandoned mall, or an empty parking lot.
I think if you're picturing something which is out of the ordinary, like, you know, a playground at night time, that's not really kind of the same as it being creepy. Anything can be creepy if you take it out of context, but I don't think per se they're creepy places. I don't know. Okay.
This is the essence of what makes these liminal space images feel so weird. The term for this is called canopsia, a place that's usually bustling with people, but is now abandoned and quiet. These images give off the feeling that humans have suddenly disappeared and we are peering into a post-apocalyptic world. But despite this, these places still appear neat and well maintained. Who's mopping the floors? What's keeping the lights on? Suburbia is built like a city. You have houses, sidewalks, and streets, but where is everyone? Everything appears neat and organized despite being so desolate. It's the perfectly manicured lawns and the uniformity of the houses.
Do you know what? These days, everybody's bloody working. That's the problem. Everybody's working overtime to pay for everything. That's the problem.
Almost everyone is driving in cars because suburbia is designed exclusively for cars and nothing is at a human scale. It's the large signs used to catch drivers' attention and the massive roads and parking lots made to accommodate all the traffic. And the architecture is bland and functional because if everyone's gonna drive past it, why bother making it look nice? This also means suburbia is devoid of people. Everything is too far and dangerous to walk anywhere because our streets are built like highways. They use wide, highway-sized lanes and the road itself is flat and straight.
Can you imagine if they didn't? The traffic, the crawl to work, you wouldn't be able to go anywhere. It'd just be too small. It has to be on that scale, especially when you got 350 million people that live in your country, you know, for America, for example. You have to accommodate those people. You have to have that scale. It'd be nice to have quaint little streets and everything else like that all the time, but you can't. You can't have that scale.
Allowing drivers to drive at high speeds. These look a lot more like racetracks than a city street. So everything becomes a thoroughfare rather than a destination. Everywhere becomes a place to drive through and not a place to drive to. But despite how car-centric it is, the concept of suburbia has nothing to do with cars. The definition of suburbs are literally just places on the outskirts of a city, and they have existed for centuries. Suburbanites from the Roman Empire were definitely not driving around in their Ford F-150s. Even today...
Yeah, but the Roman Empire didn't have 10 million people living in your town. You know, you can't fit 10 million people in that tiny little space. You have to sprawl out. It's just the sign of the times. You know, more people, more space. Everybody wants their little plot of land as well, too. So, you know, you have to give them that. But okay.
Today, you find suburbs all over the world, and apart from North America and a few other English-speaking countries, they're vastly different. Even North American cities used to build walkable human-scaled suburbs. The reason we don't build suburbs like this anymore is because we made it illegal. Zoning laws dictate what kinds of buildings can be built and where. This place is zoned for stores and this area is zoned for apartments. But on majority of our residential land, it's zoned exclusively for single-family homes and nothing else. This is why suburbia has these same repetitive cookie-cutter houses, because it's literally illegal to build anything else. Then there's parking minimums. I already talked about this in a previous video, but essentially, these laws force every building to provide an excessive amount of parking. It's estimated that there are 8 parking spaces for every car in America.
Yeah, but trying to find one at the same time, sometimes you can't find a car park, you know. You'll be lucky if you find one. Maybe 8 is not enough. Maybe you need to do more. Who knows?
It's like to be spatially contained by walls because it makes us feel protected. So when you're standing in the middle of a giant Walmart parking lot, you feel exposed and uncomfortable. If that wasn't enough, many suburban neighborhoods have what's called homeowners associations, or HOAs, which are basically organizations that enforce rules on residents and their property. This usually prevents you from changing how your home looks, such as painting your front door a different color or installing a certain kind of fence. Sometimes you can't even...
Which I think is stupid. We don't have... Not homeowners association. You might get a group of flats that have maybe like a, you know, overarching, you know, but definitely nothing like rules and stuff like that. Especially not to some of the horror stories I've heard of HOAs over there. So
install solar panels because they would be, quote, too visible from the street. Freedom, am I right? Because the design of suburbia is dictated by so many...
But the thing is, sorry to keep stopping it, but you already know that going in. You already know that they have a HOA. It's not a surprise that you don't buy a house and go, oh, by the way, we've got this. You know that. You have to look at the bylaws before you buy. And if you don't, and you can't do it, well, I think that's on you. You know, so...
rules, everywhere starts to look the same. Can you guess where this footage was taken from? This is why people describe liminal space images as oddly familiar and why people feel so nostalgic about them even if they've never actually been to where these pictures were taken. Because when everything everywhere looks the same, they all lack identity and a sense of place.
But sometimes they're all the same because it works. You know, you get your block of land, you know, the way they've laid out the estate actually works. You know, it's true and tried, you know, layout, so planning. So maybe that's why some of them look all the same. So
places lack a sense of place when they have no connection to where they're located. Think of gas stations, fast food chains, and department stores. These are non-places, places that could be anywhere but are simultaneously nowhere. Car-dependent infrastructure is incompatible with local small businesses. Large single-use buildings and parking lots are expensive and only corporations can afford them, compared to smaller lots that are right up against the street. And because car-centric infrastructure makes everything spread out, it takes more time to drive to different stores and find parking. So it becomes more convenient to do all your shopping in one place.
But there's no brand loyalty like they used to have in the old days either, you know. Sometimes you go for what's cheaper, you know, what's cheaper, where you can get it easy and you get bang for your buck. You know, in the old days, you used to only go shopping in the one place because that's where you go. You know, you're loyal to that brand, you're loyal to that shop, etc., etc. Now it's go wherever it's cheaper. You know, Costco is obviously a big one. You know, even we have that here in Australia. So that's what it comes down to sometimes, you know. It's harder to make, you know, ends meet. So you just got to shop wherever you can and get what you can for the money that you've got. Unfortunately, it comes down to it. You know, there is no brand loyalty anymore. So
this results in the copy and paste town, a place that has nothing unique and only the same chain stores as the one next to it. Unsurprisingly, people make fun of this all the time. Here's a beautiful natural landscape, all it needs is a highway and a Walmart parking lot. Nature is rarely found in liminal spaces because they have no context. They just grow wherever they want, whenever they want. They're not unnatural. Cities, although man-made, are similar to nature.
I don't know. A lot of cities have a lot of space. Well, I mean, look at New York City, one of the biggest cities. they have a massive Central Park. You know, you can't tell me that there's not nature there. You know, a lot of cities are now scaling back and, you know, enforcing that green belt, you know, enforcing that they have those green spaces within the city. So definitely not as bad as it used to be. I don't think so.
Nature. They have always formed and grown incrementally rather than orderly. As the saying goes, Rome wasn't built in a day, and great cities weren't either. In the past, they started out as small villages beside a river or a train station. People had a tiny wooden shack in a dream. As time went by, more and more people moved into the village and incrementally built more onto it. Soon, those small crummy shacks became 3-story brick buildings, and that bumpy dirt road got paved with smooth asphalt. Modern suburbia, on the other hand, is built all at once to a finished state. One day you have a piece of farmland and overnight an entire neighborhood pops out of nowhere. Once it's built, zoning laws prevent it from changing and adapting. They're frozen in place. The best you can do is renovate your house, but when your city is going through a housing crisis, you can't simply build onto these places. You have to sprawl further out and eat up more land. Suburbia tries to mimic rural living while having all the amenities of a city, but in doing so, they can't financially sustain themselves. When everything is built at the scale of cars, everything from roads to utilities have to be stretched out while serving less people. As a result, suburbs all over the place are decaying because cities can't afford to repair sidewalks or potholes. And so we're left with these empty, decaying lots like abandoned malls. Meanwhile, a shiny new Walmart is built on the edge of the city. It's an endless cycle of growth and decay. These problems are inherently political. Zoning laws need to be changed to allow a more variety of housing, and parking requirements need to be reformed so suburbs aren't full of concrete wastelands. Japan, for example, is known for their narrow and charming streets, which you might think is because Japanese people are just more kawaii than us. But it really has to do with their policies. Japan has parking minimums, but they're a lot lower and market-driven, making their parking lots much more reasonably sized. They also limit on-street parking and require car owners to prove they have an off-street parking.
Yeah, that's all well and good, but if you have, like I said, you know, you have 350 million people, you're not going to be able to get small, narrow streets and all that kind of quaint, you know, parking and everything. You just don't have the room for it. And also the vehicle sizes in America and Japan are completely different. So I can't imagine Americans giving up their trucks and pickup trucks for, you know, smart cars and stuff like that. I just don't see it.
Parking spots. Streets look a whole lot better when you remove the cars. Meanwhile, the province of Ontario in Canada destroys about 300 acres of land every single day to build new car-dependent suburbs. And while Ontario may be big, only 5% of the land is usable farmland. This is why saying suburbs are close to nature is ironic. Suburbs are the reason why cities are not close to nature. Thankfully, Toronto recently allowed higher density housing to be built on single-family residential land, which will hopefully put a plug on the infamous Yellow Belt. Until then, modern suburbia is simply not sustainable, and it's creepy too. Thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video.
So, I don't know about American suburbs being creepy. You know, as I said, you know, taken out of context, you know, a playground at night time, which you don't usually see, and stuff like that. Yeah, sure, it's going to give you the creeps because it's unusual. But I think on the as a whole, I don't think suburb anywhere, you know, it's going to be creepy. Per se, you may have creepy people in it, but I don't think seeing a street with, you know, cookie cutter houses and stuff like that are creepy in itself. So, but everything else, you know, it obviously sounds like, you know, he's obviously comparing Japan, and, you know, at the end there he was saying about Japan and America, completely different countries, completely different population, you know, completely different, you know, ideas about population and everything else like that, and, you know, parking and stuff like that, you know. So you can imagine telling Americans that they have to drive a smart car, and, you know, you have to walk everywhere as well too. So I don't think that's going to work. It certainly won't work in Australia because our towns are too far apart, you know, to walk anywhere. And it's too damn hot as well to walk everywhere as well too. So, but interesting video. Some good points, some kind of points that kind of, I don't know, completely maybe missed the point maybe. If you kind of look at it, you know, the population and everything like that. I mean, most places are cookie cutter because that's what people know as well too. It's familiar as well. There's nothing worse than going to a town and be completely, you know, lost and go, oh my God, I don't know where I'm, you know, what's going on. So when you see something familiar, it's also comforting as well too. So, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think suburbs are creepy. I can't remember ever going to a suburb and going, gee, this is creepy. Maybe a couple of houses, yes, but not a whole suburb. I don't understand that. But anyway, let me know, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. Make sure you stay safe, and I will definitely see you in the next reaction video.